This billionaire is already in his 80s, and once I marry him, I won't have to work a day in my life. In just a few years, he will be gone, and I will inherit all his riches, making me a billionaire, Oya said to herself with a grin as she lounged on her couch, lazily scrolling through her phone. Growing up, Oya loved the idea of a life of luxury, a life without the burden of work. She firmly believed that a woman's role was to be cared for by a man. Her stunning beauty made her the talk of the town. Her dark ebony skin, long black hair, and captivating smile turned heads wherever she went. Yet, beneath her charm lay an intense desire for wealth and luxury. But she didn't want to work for it. I was convinced that the quickest route to her dream life was to marry a wealthy man or date affluent suitors who could fund her lavish lifestyle. I had no interest in acquiring skills or pursuing a career. Why should I waste my time and beauty on work when a man's money can do all that for me? She would boast to her younger sister Idara. Idara, in contrast to her sister, was hardworking and ambitious. Having just completed her training as a hairdresser, she often tried to reason with her older sister.
One evening, while they sat on the front veranda of their modest family home,
Idara turned to Oyai. Oyai, you can't keep living like this. Relying on men isn't a plan. You need to find something meaningful to do with your life, she said firmly. Oyai turned to her sister. Idara, you worry too much. Why should I stress when there are rich men ready to take care of me? All I have to do is look good and enjoy life, Oyai said. That's not how life works, Idara insisted, her voice rising slightly. What happens when those men stop giving you money? What will you do when you're no longer young and attractive? You will not look like this forever. I laughed. By then, I'll already be settled with a billionaire husband, or at least a sugar daddy. I don't want to end up like mom who married for love. I said, I will never marry a man who is poor. The mood of the conversation shifted to a serious tone. Oyai, you know Dad did his best. He isn't to blame for Mom's death during childbirth. But she may have lived if Dad had the money for the C-section, Oyai insisted. Dad could tell that her sister was becoming angry. But she still pressed on. Just remember, money isn't everything, Oyai. I was getting fed up. That kind of thinking comes from being poor. I would rather cry in a Bentley than marry a wretched man, I said to her sister. Calm down, Idara. You worry too much, I added. Idara sighed, realizing her sister wasn't going to change her mind. Before she got into the house, she said one last thing. I just hope you don't regret these choices someday. It all started one evening when Oyai's best friend Ikaite arrived in her shiny red car. Ikaite and Oyai had gone to the same high school, but after their final exams, Ikaite traveled to Abuja to stay with her aunt. She returned a changed person. Ikaite was now mingling with wealthy old men, and Oyai felt incredibly proud of her friend. Ikaite became Oyai's partner in mischief and her biggest supporter. They both believed that life should be fun and that men should pay for that fun. Girl, put on something nice. We are going to the club tonight, Ikaite explained as she got out of her car. Oyai beamed. Who are we meeting tonight? There's this new guy I met last week. He's rich and he asked me to come with a friend, Ekaete replied with a wink. So, let's go have some fun, Ekaete said. An hour later, the two friends were dressed to impress, ready to make an entrance at the club. As soon as they walked in, everyone's gaze was on them. I reveled in their attention, feeling like a queen amongst others. Ekaete pointed to a man in the VIP area. That's him. His name is Chike. He owns multiple businesses in Lagos and he has been very generous to me. Let's go say hi, I said happily. And they walked over to the VIP area where Chike and his friends were sitting. Chike's face brightened when he saw Ekaete, but then he looked at Uyai. Who is your friend? He asked, smiling charmingly. Ekaete introduced Uyai. This is Uyai. Chike reached out his hand and said hi. Nice to meet you, Uyai. You are as beautiful as the morning sun. My name is Chike. Uyai felt shy. Thank you, Chike. I've heard a lot about you, she said. The night was full of laughter and drinks. Chike was impressed by Uyai's beauty and confidence, and he spent a lot of money on Uyai and Ekaete. By the end of the night, Uyai felt she had met her next target. The next morning, Idara talked to her sister. Uyai, you came home really late last night. Don't you think this lifestyle is too much? Uyai rolled her eyes. Idara, please don't start. I had fun, and that's all that matters. But for how long? Idara interrupted. Are you not thinking of starting a family? All you have are expensive designer bags and shoes bought with other people's money, she said, clearly frustrated. Don't be jealous that I'm living a good life while you work at a local hairdresser's salon where I shot back. Jealous? I don't want you to wake up one day and see that you've wasted your life on useless things. I'm not wasting my life. I'm enjoying it, I replied firmly. Later that day, Ekaete called with some exciting news. Guess what? Chike wants us to go on a trip to Paris next weekend. His eyes lit up. Paris? Oh my God. Ekaete, you're amazing, she exclaimed. Pack your bags, babe. We are going to live like queens, Ekaete said. I hung up and started to plan for the trip, ignoring Idara's disapproving looks. I was too focused on her dreams of wealth and luxury to see the risk she was taking. But life has a way of teaching us hard lessons. One Friday night, Uyai and Ekaete decided to visit an exclusive lounge in the city. They heard it was a place where the richest men gathered, and that was all the motivation they needed. Dressed in their best outfit with sparkling heels and matching designer handbags, they walked into the lounge feeling confident and ready to impress. The restaurant was filled with luxury, from the crystal chandeliers to the velvet seats. Ekaete leaned in and whispered to Uyai, "This is it, babe. Tonight we are going to meet someone rich." Uyai smiled and replied, "As long as they have money, I'm in." They settled into their seats and began sipping on expensive cocktails. Soon, a group of older men walked into the lounge. They seemed out of place among the younger crowd, but their tailored suits and gold watches showed that they were wealthy. Uyai nudged Ekaete and pointed to the men. "Look at those men. The smell of good old money." Uyai laughed. "Old is the right word," Ekaete said. "They must be in their 70s at least. They are not really our type." Uyai winked and replied, "Who cares about type when there's money involved?" A moment later, one of the older men approached their table. He had a friendly smile, but looked much older than anyone they had ever met. He seemed to be in his 80s, and his slow movement showed his frailty. "Good evening, beautiful ladies," the man said in a deep, raspy voice, his gaze lingering on Ekaete. "My name is Chief Oke. May I join you?" Ekaete smiled politely, but avoided looking directly at him. Oh sure, why not? She said hesitantly. Chifuke slowly pulled out the chair and sat down. Chifuke told Ekaete that she was very beautiful. I noticed you from across the room, Chief said. Ekaete smiled shyly. After a few minutes of polite chit-chat, it was clear that Chifuke was attracted to Ekaete. Curious, Ekaete asked, "So Chief, what do you do for a living?" "I'm retired, but I worked for many years in the oil and gas industry. But I have a few businesses I run," he answered. "I've been lucky to have a comfortable life. But enough about me. Tell me about yourself," Chief said. Ekaete felt uneasy. She wasn't interested in Chifuke, and Uyai noticed. Ekaete quickly glanced at Uyai silently, asking her to step in. Uyai leaned in with a cheerful grin. "Chief Oki, you seem like such a great guy. Ekaete is a bit shy, but I'm sure she likes your kind words," Uyai said. Ekaete's eyes grew wide in surprise, but before she could object, Uyai continued. "How about we swap numbers? You seem like someone who could teach us about living well." Chifuke laughed, saying, "I like your spirit, young lady." He took out his phone and passed it to Uyai. She quickly entered Ekaete's number and returned the phone to him. Ekaete stared at Uyai in shock but stayed silent. After Chifuke went back to his friends, Ekaete turned to Uyai. "What was that? Why did you give him my number?" Ekaete whispered angrily. Uyai rolled her eyes. "Calm down, Ekaete. This is a big opportunity. Can't you see? A man like that will spoil you with money and gifts. And since he's so old, you probably won't expect much in return," Uyai explained, trying to soothe her friend. Ekaete frowned, "But he seems to be in his 80s. Uyai, that's way too much for me." "Exactly," Uyai responded. "He's too old to be needy or clingy. He'll likely just want some company and someone to talk to. You'll be rolling in money soon." Ekaete felt uncertain and said, "I don't know, Uyai. This feels strange." "Come on, Ekaete," Uyai insisted. "You have been with married men and other guys before. What's the difference? This is a great chance. Don't let it go, Ekaete." "Okay, I'll give it a shot. But if it gets too strange, I'm out," Ekaete replied. "Trust me, you won't regret it," Uyai insisted with a sly smile. The next day, Chifuke called Ekaete and Uyai was right there to help her with the call. "Be sweet, but don't seem too eager," Uyai whispered as Ekaete answered the phone. "Hello, Ekaete. This is Chief Oke. I hope I'm not bothering you," he said. Oh no, not at all, Chief. It's nice to hear from you," Ekaete said, trying to sound cheerful. "I was wondering if you'd like to have dinner with me tomorrow evening," he said. Ekaete glanced at Uyai, who nodded eagerly. "Sure, I'd love to," Ekaete said, hesitantly. "Great, I'll send the car to pick you up. You'll love the restaurant," Chifuke said before hanging up. Uyai clapped her hands in excitement. "This is it, Ekaete. You're about to hit jackpot." The next evening, Ekaete went on the dinner date with Chifuke, while Uyai waited eagerly for her to return and share the news about everything that happened. When Ekaete finally got back, Uyai bombarded her with questions. "How was it? Did he treat you well? What did he say? What did he give you?" Ekaete sank into the couch and sighed. "It was interesting. He's nice. But it's so strange, Uyai. He talks like my grandfather." "So, did he give you anything?" Not minding how uncomfortable her friend was. Ekaete pulled out a small box and opened it to show a gold necklace. "He gave me this." His eyes widened. "That's beautiful. See, I told you this would work, Ekaete. This is just the start." But Ekaete didn't seem to be pleased with Chifuke's gifts. "Eka, what's the matter? You don't want him?" Uyai asked her friend. Ekaete sighed. "I really don't like that man. There's something about him that scares me, and I can't seem to place my finger on it," Ekaete said. "Can I have him?" Uyai asked. She had earlier checked on Chi's profile on the internet, and after going through his pictures that evidently showed how rich he was, Uyai couldn't pass off an opportunity as juicy as Chifuke. Yes, you can, Ekaite said. Are you sure? I asked, and Ekaite nodded. Here is his card, Ekaite said, as she pulled out Chifoke's business card and gave it to Yai. After Ekaite left, Yai kept on thinking about Chifoke. She remembered the picture she saw of him in a Bentley, his private jet. Yai didn't care to know what was scaring Ekaite, but Chifoke was going to be hers. She needed his money in her life. Yai called Chifoke and her heart raced as the phone rang. When he answered, his deep raw voice was curious. Hello, who is this? He asked. Good afternoon, Chifoke. This is Uya, Ekaite's friend. We met at the lodge the other night, she said, her voice sweet. Uya, he said, sounding surprised. This is unexpected. What do I owe the pleasure? I hope I'm not being too forward, but I've been thinking about you since we met, Uya said, trying to sound shy. I just felt like reaching out. Chifoke laughed softly. Well, this is a nice surprise. Ekaite didn't say you were interested in me. She's not really my type, but there's something special about you. Flattered, Chifoke asked Uyai out for dinner the next evening. She arrived at the restaurant in a beautiful dress she had borrowed, eager to impress him. Chifoke couldn't take his eyes off her. You look amazing, my dear, he said, pulling out a chair for her. Thank you, Chifoke, Uyai replied, giving him her best smile. Throughout the night, Uyai laughed and complimented him, hanging on his every word. Chifoke was clearly taken with her, and by the end of the evening, he promised to see her again soon. A few weeks after, Uyai's life changed completely. Chifoke spoiled her with gifts like designer clothes, jewelry, and he even bought her a car. He gave her lots of money, which she used to show off her new lifestyle on social media. Uyai was living the dream she had always wanted. Uyai's life changed so fast that everyone on social media was curious about how she did it. Meanwhile, Chifoke was very much in love with Uyai. Even though they had a big age gap, he found her lively spirit and charm hard to resist. During one of their fancy dinners, he surprised her with a big proposal. Uyai, Chifoke said, taking her hand. I've been thinking a lot about us, and I believe I found my happiness in you. You make me feel alive again. Uyai's heart raced as she realized what he was about to say. Chifoke, she replied, softly, pretending to be emotional. Chifoke smiled. Please call me Oki, or better yet, call me Obim. Will you marry me? Uyai, he asked. For a moment, Uyai was frozen, acting as if she was overwhelmed with feelings. She looked at the huge ring he was holding, worth millions. Yes, she exclaimed, tears of joy rolling down her cheeks. She stood up and hugged him tightly. Yes, Chifoke, I'll marry you. Chifoke looked so happy, but Uyai was only thinking about the fortune she would get when he was gone. This was it, she thought, the life she had always wanted. She quickly started planning the wedding, hiring the most expensive planner, ordering a custom dress from a top designer, and booking a 5-star hotel for the wedding reception. Everything had to be perfect, not for love, but for the image she wanted to show off. Ekaite, who was supposed to be celebrating with her, was worried. My friend, you don't have to marry this man. He has spent so much on you already. He has built 2 houses already for you. He has established 3 businesses for you. Marriage is too big a step. Take what you have gotten so far and end these marriage plans, Ekaite pleaded, but Uyai was stubborn. Her mind was made up. Eka, I have become a millionaire in just a few months of dating Chief. Imagine what being married to him would look like. My friend, I cannot leave Chief another woman to have him. No way, I said, all dressed up in her expensive dress. Even Idara's pleas fell on deaf ears. Uyai, please, I have been having nightmares about you. Don't marry this man. It is better to be with a young man whose source of wealth you know than to get drowned in a wealth you know nothing about. Idara pleaded, with tears in her eyes. You have a very bad poverty mentality. Which one is source of wealth again? I have told you countless times, Chief was into oil and gas. He invested his wealth into other businesses. There are people that are still doing real business. You're watching too many movies. Move into this house and enjoy luxury with me and stop suffering when you don't have to, I said. Yeah, you don't have to insult me. I don't want anything to do with your new house or your newfound wealth. Then crawl back into your poverty-stricken hole and leave me alone, I said to her sister. When Idara saw that her sister's mind was made up, she got on her feet. Just don't come running to my hole when your paradise on earth gets too hot for you, Idara said and walked out. After the wedding, Uyai automatically became Mrs. Uyai Oke, wife of one of the wealthiest men in the country. Her wedding had been a grand affair, the talk of the town for weeks. Everyone admired her transformation from a nobody to the wife of a billionaire. Her first day of marriage was like a dream come true. Chifuke doted on her, showering her with expensive jewelries, cars, designer clothes. They traveled to exotic locations all over the world. Chifuke made every day feel like a fairy tale. I booked us a private villa in the Maldives for next month, Chifuke announced one morning as they ate breakfast by the pool. I smiled and kissed him on the cheek. You spoil me too much, Chief. Chief just smiled back. I only want the best for my queen, he said. I could not believe her good fortune. This was the life she had always dreamed of. She barely thought about her past struggles or her broken relationship with her sister, who didn't come to her wedding. She was far too busy enjoying her luxurious new life. However, as the months passed, I began to notice cracks in her picture-perfect life. Chifoke was much older than her usual type, and his health started showing signs of decline. He often complained of fatigue and occasional chest pain. Maybe you should see a doctor, I suggested one evening after Chifoke cancelled their dinner plans because he felt unwell. And finally, he insisted, it's just age catching up with me. There's nothing to worry about. I wasn't too concerned. In fact, a small part of her was secretly relieved. She had always known Chief wouldn't live forever, and she had convinced herself that once he passed, all his wealth would be hers. Her life took another turn when she found out she was pregnant. Chief Oke was overjoyed, and he went all out to pamper her during the pregnancy. Our child will have everything he or she would ever want, Chief Oke said one evening as they decorated the nursery. Uyai was so happy. Chidi was born, a beautiful baby boy. Uyai felt a new sense of purpose as a mother, but she couldn't help but notice that Chief Oke's health was deteriorating rapidly. On Chief Oke's 85th birthday, he threw a grand party inviting business associates, friends and family, where I stood by his side glowing in a custom-made gown as they cut the cake together. You have made this old man very happy, Uyai, Chief said, holding her hand. I have made me the happiest woman, Uyai said, smiling sweetly. Later that night, Chief Oke fell gravely ill and he had to be rushed to the hospital, where doctors informed Uyai that his condition was critical. As Chief Oke lay on the hospital bed, Uyai sat by his side, trying to hide her excitement. This is it, she thought to herself. Everything is about to be mine. She held his hands and whispered to him, You'll be fine, Chief. You're strong, Uyai said, while Chief just laughed. I'm not afraid of dying, Uyai. I've lived a full life, but there's something I need to tell you before it's too late. Uyai's heart raced. What is it, Chief? Chief Oke looked at Uyai. His eyes were filled with tears. You've been a wonderful wife, but there's a truth about my will that I've kept from you. It's time you know about it, Chief whispered. Uyai frowned, her excitement giving way to confusion. "What do you mean, Chief?" she asked. "When I was 18, I was very poor and desperate. I had lost everything: my business, my home, my family, my pride. I was about to give up when I met a man who said he could change my life." I leaned in closer, confused. "How do you mean, Chief?" "He promised me well beyond my dreams, but there was a big catch. The wealth would only last for a few years, and then I would die. I was told to perform a ritual. Apart from the wealth, everything I bought with the money would disappear." I looked at him in shock. "Are you saying that all this, your money, your businesses, your properties, is just going to vanish?" "Yes," Chifuke replied, tears rolling down his face. "Time is almost up. Once I'm gone, everything else will vanish." "No," I screamed. "This can't be true. You're lying." "I wish I were," Chifuke said, his voice shaking, "but this is the truth. I wanted to leave everything for you and Chidi, but I can't. I'm sorry, Uyai." Uyai's mind raced as she tried to understand what she had just heard. The world she had hoped for was just an illusion, a short-lived gift with a deadline. "So, I married you, had your child, and gave up everything for you for nothing," she shouted, her anger boiling. "I never meant to hurt you," Chifuke said softly. "I thought I could change my fate, but the ritual was clear. The wealth isn't mine to keep." I stormed out of the hospital room, feeling dizzy. She couldn't believe her life had come to this. She had sacrificed her relationship with her sister, her dignity, her time for a man who traded everything for a short-lived fortune. Over the next few days, Chifuke got worse. I stayed by his side, but her heart was filled with anger. She couldn't look at him without feeling betrayed. On the 5th day after his birthday, Chifuke passed away, quietly in his sleep. When Uda heard the news of his death, she felt cold all over. Her hands shook as she held the phone to her ear. Her breathing got faster. Panic hit her like a wild storm. This couldn't be real. Not now. She had been waiting for his death, but not like this. Not with all his money about to disappear. Uyai's mind raced. There had to be a way to stop it. The money couldn't just disappear into thin air, not after all the luxury she had enjoyed and all she had given up. She quickly grabbed her phone and started calling herbalists she had known before. If Chifuke's money came from rituals, there must be a way to keep it from disappearing. "Please, Baba, you have to help me," she begged, one of the strongest herbalists she knew. "The man is dead, but I need the well to stay. What can I do?" A deep sigh came from the other end. "Nothing can be done, my daughter. The deal was made and the price must be paid." Uyai's stomach twisted. She couldn't accept it. She called another herbalist and then another, but they all said the same thing. Nothing could be done. The money, the properties, the businesses, everything Chifuke had gained through the rituals was about to disappear. Still, Uyai refused to give up. If the wealth was going to vanish, she would have to take as much as she could before it did. She rushed to Chifuke's properties, hoping to sell some before they disappeared. She contacted buyers who were eager to make quick deals, but just when she thought she had secured some money for herself, she found out that she had been scammed. The money never reached her account and the buyers had vanished. "Oh no," she screamed, throwing her phone across the room. Her heart would race with fear. But the worst was yet to come. Days later, one of Chifuke's companies caught fire, and the news spread like wildfire. His empires were burning down. I watched in shock as the images flashed on the TV screen. Flames engulfing the huge headquarters of Chifuke's most successful business, while the employees ran out in panic. Some of his buildings collapsed at night, while some goods that he had imported just disappeared into thin air. Everything was fading away in front of her, and there was no way to save the businesses. I looked to her last hope. The gold and diamond necklaces, bracelets and earrings that Chifuke had given her were worth millions. She was able to sell the jewelries. With the money, we ran away from Chief Ok's house with just her son and a few millions in her account. She couldn't go to Ekaite's house because Ekaite was now married. Ekaite had married a billionaire who already had 5 wives before her. Though she lived a flamboyant lifestyle, which she portrayed on social media, Ekaite had confided in her friend Oyai that her husband had become so restrictive after the wedding. Her driver followed her around even though she was surrounded by luxury. Ekaite was very unhappy. Everything was provided for her except money. Ekaite's husband was a billionaire, but Ekaite could not boast of 500,000 to her name. Her husband was in complete control of her life, and though she wanted to help Oyai, her hands were tied. Oyai decided to go to her sister's house, Idara. She stood outside Idara's small apartment. What if Idara sent her away? What if she slammed the door in her face and humiliated her, Ekaite thought. But alas, she knocked. When Idara opened the door and saw her, she gasped. Her mouth dropped as she took in Oyai's look. Her once beautiful hair was now messy, her fancy clothes were gone, replaced by a simple dress, and her eyes were puffy from crying. For the first time, Oyai had nothing. Idara was shocked. Oyai fell to her knees, holding on to Idara's legs as tears flowed down her face. Her proud voice was now shaking with desperation. Idara, please, I have nowhere else to go. Please don't turn me away. I know I've done a lot of bad things. I have hurt you. Please forgive me. Give me another chance. Idara stared at her sister. It was hard to believe that the same Oyai who once made fun of her for living a simple life was now begging at her feet. You did this to yourself, Idara said. I warned you. I told you that your greed would ruin you, but you didn't listen. Look at you now. Dara, I know I was selfish where I begged. I thought I had everything figured out, but I was wrong. Please, I just need a place to stay for a little while. Why should I help you? Where was your kindness when you left me for money? When you humiliated me at your house? Where I cried harder, her shoulders shaking. I have a child, Idara. Don't let my son suffer because of my mistakes. The sight of her nephew touched Idara's heart and she let them in. But life was not yet done with Oyai. One day, Chidi complained of headache. It turned into fever, and before Oyai could blink her eyes, her son was at the ICU. The medical bills on laboratory tests and medications poured in, and in a short while, the little money Oyai had made from the sale of her expensive jewelries had vanished. But that was not what broke Oyai. Her son passed. Nothing could console Oyai. She cried for days and nights, but eventually her tears ceased, but the pain didn't go away. Eventually, she had to decide whether to allow her misery drag her down or get up. With Idara's help, she was able to get back on her feet. Oyai tried to fix her life. She took small jobs, learned new skills, and slowly put herself back together. The journey was tough, but she learned important lessons about being humble, working hard, and what real wealth meant. In the end, Oyai understood that chasing after things only made her unhappy. She discovered that true wealth comes from love, friendship, and the strength to face life's problems. Even though she lost everything, she gained something much more important, a second chance to live a meaningful life. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't, and please share this video with a friend or two that you know will like it. Thank you.